Hello everybody and welcome to FPL Link. My name is Dan and I'm here to bring you another FPL video for the fantasy season 2022-2023. In this video we're going to be looking at a reaction to the FPL prices that have been leaked today, a couple of days early before the release as we anticipated. From the FPL official Twitter page. So we're going to be looking at the teams that have been released so far and just really going through my early thoughts on some of those price points now. Moving straight into it, I've got the page up here and we'll start off with Arsenal, Saka, Odegaard, and I believe it's Ramsdale, that are showcased there at the front. I really don't think there's much surprise in those price points. I think Saka at 8 million is more than fair. I think Odegaard at 6.5. I actually had him in my team last season for a little while. I couldn't quite actually get to Saka when he was pulling in the points, but I wanted an Arsenal asset. He didn't return just as many points. I think in the time frame I had him between the game weeks I had him, he was slightly less than Saka. So I think again 6.5 million is more than fair. But he is a fantastically creative player, and Arsenal's fixtures pretty much at top of the fixture ticker. Definitely those two, some players to consider. Also with Tomiyasu and Ben White there coming in at 4.5 million. I think they're great options potentially as those cheaper defensive options for us. I think Ramsdale being priced at 5 is maybe a little bit too much of a stretch. I think most people in the community, most managers tend to draft with a 4.5 or in a 4 million goalkeeper at the start of the season, potentially two 4.5s. 5 million sometimes is quite difficult to stretch to when you've got to factor in those all important premiums. I don't think there's any real surprises there from my perspective on that Arsenal team. I think that's more than fair. Moving into to City next, we'll start that again. Erling Haaland at 11.5 million. I'm just going to go back to that and pause that right there because I think that is an absolute steal, to be honest. I know he hasn't been proven in the Premier League yet, but everybody in the community is pretty much so far expected this guy to come in at 12 million. So having that extra 0.5 could prove pivotal in terms of our drafting. I really do believe that. I would be very surprised if we don't see a lot of managers taking that early punt on him, with City coming in the top 3 of the fixture ticker as well. I think there's absolutely no doubts that he should be considered. Again, De Bruyne coming in at 12 million, no surprises. He's a premium player. He scored, I think, the most bonus points last season in total, more than any other player. He's one of the most creative midfielders in the game, so no surprises there. And of course Cancelo coming in at 7 million. I really don't think there's any surprise there, and I'll be surprised if a lot of people also don't draft him in. Of course, a few other people to note here in Phil Foden staying the same at 8 million. Bernardo and Grealish coming in at 7 million as well each. As we know though, with Pep Roulette, it's so difficult to get those nailed on players. I think that this, they're fair prices, but the price points are maybe a little bit tricky until we see, of course, the rest of the team's prices. Moving into Brentford next, we've got Ivan Toney coming in at 7 million, so a little bit more expensive than his debut season last season. Raya and Canos at 4.5 and 5 million respectively. I think Raya there is definitely an option. Definitely an option to go for. At 4.5, I think that's an absolute steal. They've got some really great fixtures, I think that's a potential bargain there. Rico Henry coming in at 4.5 as well. Pinnock 4.5. These guys did pretty well last season in certain fixtures, certain games. They could be ones to consider potentially as bench fodder or bench options if we need them. Other things to note there is, I believe Wissa and Burmo have swapped positions as in comparison to last season. I think Burmo was listed as a midfielder, Wissa was listed as a striker if I'm not mistaken. So not really too surprised about that change, although with this change already showcased here, I'm curious as to then, I'm almost certain that he must be listed as a forward, and I'd be actually very surprised if Salah stays as a midfielder as well if we're going down that road. But let's see. Stranger things have happened. So Brighton up next. Cucurella at 5 million, Trossard 6.5, Sanchez 4.5, and some other players to note there as well. I think with Sanchez 4.5 again, it's a fair price. I'm not too sure on the rotations of the fixtures. I'd have to double check that, but he potentially could be an option as a second keeper maybe if we want to rotate those. Undav at 5.5 million. Lamptey at 4.5. Cucurella was a little bit more, I believe, wasn't he? Was he 5 million? I mean, he has been linked with a move to Manchester City, so I'm not sure if he'll be considered once that happens. As I'm pretty certain he wouldn't get as many minutes. Trossard 6.5. I think that's it's an interesting price point. It really is. I again, comes down to that we need to see more. We need to see more people at 6.5 million before we'd maybe consider him. Maybe there are better options, but again, I think that's fair. He pulled in some fantastic double-digit hauls towards the back end of last season. I think they were playing some really exciting football. So we'll just see if that continues on into the new season. And yeah, of course, Sanchez there again. So the most recent update for Leeds: Bamford 7.5, Harrison at 6 there, and Meslier at 4.5. I mean, no surprises there, really, to be honest. I think with Bamford, he arguably could have been reduced a little bit. He was absolutely injury-stricken pretty much. So the 7.5 mark, I believe, is what he started last season at. The 7.5 mark pretty much was a great price point for those mid-priced forwards last season. I think Richarlison, Bamford, Calvert-Lewin, there's multiple. Wilson, Watkins, I think as well. There are all those 7.5 marks. It was a really good price point to go into when we were considering early drafting. Not so sure about him though kicking off this season. If they lose Rafinha as well, I think the creative side. Don't get me wrong. I think Jack Harrison's great. I think Dan James potentially fits the lead side a lot more than Manchester United when he was there. But I'm not too sure he'll haul as much as he did in that initial season under Bielsa. So it's interesting that the game's decided to price him again at 7.5. Harrison at 6 potentially. I don't think he's necessarily an option though. And some names to note here. Gelhardt actually coming in at 5.5 million. That's interesting because I've seen quite a few early community drafts using third-party websites, and he's always been priced at 4.5. So that extra million, he's been used as that bench fodder or potential, playing option for managers. But at 5.5, he's pretty much then off the cards. I think in most, we're not going to see him in many drafts moving forward. But yeah, I mean that's going to wrap it up, guys. We've got 4 different teams: Arsenal, Manchester City, Brentford, Brighton, Leeds. So 5 teams have been revealed out of the 20. I'm not sure how many more they're going to leak today before the end of the day, or even continue over the weekend. So I may post another reaction video once more player prices are revealed. But for now, that's going to wrap it up. So thanks again for watching, guys. Would love for you to subscribe, hit the like button on that video for me. It really helps me out. Stay tuned for plenty of more content that I'm hoping to put together for the pre-season, moving into that all-important kick-off to the season at the beginning of August. It's coming back, guys. We've had a few months break, but we're almost there. So take care, and I'll see you in the next one.